You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
If that sounds familiar, that's the introduction that Rod Serling did for the Twilight Zone series. These were black and white TV shows, and they are just a few of the works that Rod Serling did. And did you know that Rod Serling is buried near the Seneca Lake Wine Trail? It's true. So if you're traveling on the east side of Seneca Lake, go see his burial ground. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Rod Serling was born on Christmas Day in 1924, and during the 50 years of his life, he was known to be a prolific radio broadcaster, script writer, actor, author, and TV personality. He grew up in Binghamton, New York, and was said to be enthralled with radio programs, considered thrillers, fantasies, and horror shows. After high school, he enlisted in the Army, where he became a paratrooper and witnessed incredible horrors and death, which traumatized him very deeply and influenced the dark side of his later writing. He was quoted as saying, "I was bitter about everything and at loose ends when I got out of the service. I think I turned to writing to get it off my chest." After his discharge in 1946, he went on to college on the GI Bill and got into radio, and he had a great voice for it. He married his wife, Carol, and Carol's grandmother had a home on Cayuga Lake, New York, in Interlaken, which was the honeymoon destination as well as their summer destination for the rest of his adult life. So Rod Serling got into acting and writing and selling his scripts for radio dramas, and then worked his way into television when TV was very, very new in the 50s. People found his stories of ghosts, UFOs, phantoms, monsters, bizarre reality twists, and the macabre fascinating. He basically excelled in early sci-fi, suspense, and borderline horror vignettes. Rod Serling began having his serious dramas produced for television in the 50s, and he is credited for being one of the first scriptwriters specifically writing TV dramas. He's a pioneer in his field. Rod Serling gained experience and fame in the late 1950s with the writing of scripts called The Twilight Zone, which first aired in 1959. Although it was a TV series with 5 seasons, each episode was a little different. For example, in a regular series, the story ends and then the next week or whatever, the story picks up where that one left off and it goes on to be a series. But Serling's technique was completely different. Everything was an anthology. He created anthologies of stories. Each story was full and complete in and of itself in under 30 minutes on television with commercial breaks. So from 1959 to 1964, he helped write scripts and narrated 5 seasons and 156 episodes on CBS of The Twilight Zone. Each episode was like a mini horror movie. Because of his background in the Army and all the death and destruction and horror that he saw there, he was probably PTSD, and he turned to writing to find his way. And each one of his stories kind of reflects this trauma in a unique and different way. Rod Serling was 5'4" and reportedly smoked 3 to 4 packs of cigarettes a day. In May 1975, he had a series of heart attacks, first hospitalized in Ithaca, New York, then transferred to Rochester's Strong Memorial, and then he later died at the age of 50. He was survived by his wife, Carol, and 2 daughters. So if you're on the east side of Seneca Lake, perhaps you're visiting the wine trail and you're looking for a diversion, go find his gravesite because he's buried in a little cemetery in Interlaken, New York. If you put in your GPS Interlaken, New York, and then look for Lakeview Cemetery, you'll find this, which is the entrance. Rod Serling, born Rodman Serling, is located in the grave in Lot G, plot 1044. That's the 5th row from the back, about 20 feet in between a little tree and a big tree. And by the way, GPS is not very good here. When you find his gravesite, you'll find it surprisingly unassuming and normal. But there's one difference, and that is that many people have also come to see this grave, and they've left little trinkets there in memory of his movies. Sometime, if you get a chance and you're in the area, hopefully you've had a chance to binge watch on the old Twilight Zone TV shows, go find his grave in the Lakeview Cemetery in Interlake in New York, and be sure to leave a trinket in his memory.
So, gentlemen, please sit back and take your first trip into the Twilight Zone.